Nicki Minaj, the greatest female rapper of all time, yes, I said it, just announced the Pink Friday 2 World Tour in support of her album, Pink Friday 2. So earlier in the month, she released the album. I think it was December 8th was the date. And just a few days later, as usual, right, she announced, as usual, when an artist releases a new album, you can just guarantee that a tour announcement is right around the corner if it hasn't already been announced first. And just a few days later, the Pink Friday 2 World Tour was announced, and this is going to be a big one. This is her first tour since 2019, since the Nicki World Tour. It was a co-headline World Tour. So let's dive in a little bit. In this video, as always, we're going to look at the economics. We're going to look at the fees and the ticket prices. We're going to do a forecast and just some other fun things, looking at maybe anticipated set list and top shows and all that good stuff. So here is the World Tour. It kicks off next year, 2024, on March 1st in Oakland, California, and runs through the United States until about May. So she's going to be on, or until mid-May. So she's going to be in the United States for 2 months before heading over to Europe, and there's more dates to be added. So let's take a quick look at the anticipated set list. So I took a look at setlist.fm, which is a really, really great resource. Since she hasn't really toured since 2019, it's a little hard to predict like what the set list is going to be, right? But here she did a couple of radio shows. So there's one in Atlanta from December 14th of this year, just not maybe about a week ago. And here's another one, which this is from her 2019 World Tour. So let's take a look at this one first. Here's the set list from her, and I'm gonna throw the links to anything that I pull up. I'll throw the links in the description of the video. So just look at the references and you just grab whatever from down there, and you'll get links to the set list and all that. But here's a set list that Nicki performed in Atlanta. A couple of her new songs from off the new album, right? And these are all like shortened versions of it. Very typical for these radio shows. They're just trying to get as many songs in as possible. This was a 25-minute set, so a real short set, not what you would see in a real show, right? I'm assuming based on the other set list from her 2019 World Tour, you see 25 songs. Doesn't really say that anything was shortened. She threw in quite a few covers. I'm assuming this is about probably a 2-hour show, maybe 2.5-hour show. So this is going to be an exciting World Tour. She hasn't toured in 4 years, and expect a really cool long set, right? And so in this Atlanta show, she played FTCU from the new album, Everybody, Red Ruby to Sleaze, Super Freaky Girl, and Needles. Those are the songs. So quite a few, actually. Almost half the set on this radio show was from the new album, which is very typical for an artist to play a lot of songs of the new album on a radio show because they want to be played on the radio, right? And then here, a quick look at the set from one of her sets from Germany on the 2019 World Tour. As you see, 25 songs, right? A good mix of most of her album, quite a few covers, probably quite a few more than I would have expected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 covers. So 7 out of 25 songs were covers and 18 originals. I'll also throw in a link to these statistics. Here's the statistics off of her last tour, the Nicki World Tour, of the songs she played the most, right? So most likely, right, almost every night she played these songs right here. So most likely you can assume like Anaconda, Bees in a Trap, Chun-Li, right? All of these songs that here she played pretty much every night are most likely going to be played. Maybe even Whip It, and then along with some of the songs from the new album. One song she didn't play in the radio show was Last Time I Saw You. And that one has 47 million streams. So very, very good chance that's going to be one of the songs that's being played. So let's take a look at the economics. Let's take a look at the fees, where she's playing, ticket prices, and so on. So the average size venue she's playing is, as you see in the sheet, let me zoom this in a little bit for y'all so you have a little bit better view. So the average capacity on this tour is 11,496. It's an arena tour. It's presented by Live Nation. I know sometimes I like to look at booking opportunities. There's no booking opportunities here. This is a Live Nation tour. There's an arena act. There's no opportunity for an independent promoter to come in and book a show, right? You might be able to book appearances. I'm not sure if this is something that Nicki does, but most likely the appearances is going to be after a show where there's no show the next day, and you don't have like and you don't have a long drive the next day. I'm assuming that Nicki and the tour manager are probably not driving the bus. They're probably flying to every city. But like I said, whenever there's no date after a show, maybe possible that she could do appearances for like a club night if that's something Nicki does, right? There's been no openers announced yet, so that's an opportunity for independent promoters or independent promoters to see if there's maybe some openers on the show and maybe see if they'll do some appearances after the show again, but most likely not when there's a show the next day. And it all depends on how strict the tour is. The 3 shows, so I guess before we get to the top 3 shows. So if you look at the ticket prices, most of it is already in dynamic ticketing or platinum ticketing, right? And they go as high as $1,100. Some hundreds of dollars, right? Most of them are in the $500 to $900 range. So a big range in the platinum ticketing. We looked at what we think the most of the face value tickets are going to be and what the fees are going to be on those tickets. Sorry for the loud noise. And what the fees are going to be on those tickets. So the average fee, 32.9%, right? So fees are not going down. It's continuing to kind of stay steady around that 30 to 35% mark. Because all the tour previews we looked at so far, that's about where it was. The big thing to look for, right, does the fee include sales tax or not, right? And usually the majority of venues, as you see here, it's included. So that's good, especially right here, which is in Brooklyn. 25% fee that includes the sales tax. That's a really good deal, right? Now, here, for example, 44.7%. Ooh, that's a high fee. This is in New Orleans. Oh, my good old New Orleans. 44% fee. It's included in the sales tax is included in the ticket. I know sales tax there is like 9.5%. So maybe 35% in fees. Still pretty high, right? And the ones to watch out for is like right here, T-Mobile Arenas, which is the ones I picked out, which we'll talk about in a minute. 30%, and the sales tax is on top, right? So it's probably close to a 40% fee. This one right here, Target Center, is probably the craziest one in Minneapolis. 42.6% fee just on the fees, and then sales tax on top. So it can be close to 50% on that. And usually the sales tax is not, so there's different fees, right? You're going to have just a straight up service fee and a transaction fee and so on. The biggest chunk, the service fee, that is taxed as well. So that'll be factored in on the percentage on top. So might be even a little bit more than that. So here's what our fees look like, capacities look like. Before we get into the forecast side, how much is she possibly getting paid? What are the expenses looking like for a show like this? The top 3 shows that I usually always cover, top 3 for this one for me will be T-Mobile Arena. It's probably, it's one of the nicest, newest arenas in the country. Of course, a lot of major events happen there. It's in Las Vegas, a really great city. So that will be my first one. Again, I usually pick one in the beginning, middle, and the end. In the middle of the tour, Brooklyn, right? I mean, she's from Trinidad, but grew up in Queens. Brooklyn, New York is kind of like a hometown show. Barclays Center, an amazing arena. So that will be my number 2 show, the show in the middle. And then towards the end, Detroit, right? Little Caesars Arena, another brand new arena, beautiful arena. Detroit, great city to see shows, legendary music town. So that would be my show towards the end of the tour. There's so many good markets she's playing, right? I mean, Houston, of course, for a hip hop show like this, Houston's of course a great market. MSG is in there. I'm more leaning towards the Brooklyn over NYC. NYC, great city. Love MSG. Been there with Barclays. If I ever had a choice, I'd probably go to Barclays, right? Of course, I'm biased to Amway Center. That's another, actually now the Kia Center, right? So I'm actually going to change it up right here on the fly. The Kia Center, well, it's just been renamed this week. That's in Orlando. Beautiful arena, great space, and downtown Orlando. A lot of stuff to do around there. Atlanta is going to be a great show. New Orleans is going to be a great show. There's so many markets that is going to be amazing on this tour. But again, my top 3 will be, even considering all that, Vegas, Brooklyn, and Detroit. Those are my top 3. So let's dive into the forecast side. So on the forecast, so these the average. This is what we found to most likely be the face value tickets on this tour, right? And then I'm just distributing the percentages, as you see here, 20, 30, 25, 15, and 10 in the different price points. And let me zoom in a little bit more for everybody so y'all can see this real well. If you want access to this sheet, I'll throw this up on Patreon. So it's joined at the $10 level. That's a tour preview level. You'll have access to this sheet and other sheets, and a little bit of bonus content here and there. But if you really want to, if you're a promoter, you're a venue, and you really want to dive into how to maximize your business and build a successful, profitable business, right? Especially with all these fees and expenses going up. Join the the academy, right? Join the academy at $30 a month. There's already a promoter course there. We do workshops every month. Great opportunity if this is a business that you want to get into, or if you want to be better at the business you're already in, right? So we have the forecast side or the potential side and the forecast side, right? So at potential, this is what the numbers are looking like at sellout. And then here is the forecast side is forecast at 80%. So if 80% of the tickets sell, with everything being in dynamic pricing and platinum, she's most likely hitting 80% capacity on all these shows, if not a few sellouts, right? So based on those number, average facility fee, probably going to be around $4. We back that out. The platinum lift, so that's the lift that's getting added on top. This is just an estimate. I'm estimating $25 per ticket for all the tickets. So look how lucrative the platinum is, right? And I'm seeing an error here. So always fixing stuff on the fly. So this is E8, this one, so that's correct. And this should be C8. So that's not accurate right here. Here we go. That's much better. All right. So based on the what I'm seeing, right, the $1,000 tickets, the $800 tickets, the $900 tickets, it's probably a lot more. But just conservative guess, $25 per ticket is what the platinum is going to be. So what a dynamic pricing lift on top of the face value price, right? So again, the $800 tickets, the $900 tickets, let's say this was the highest face value ticket. If you back out, right, so let's say the ticket's $800. If you back out $119.50, that's what the platinum lift is, right? So that's the additional amount. That's what the platinum price addition is. But if those tickets were not selling at all, so if fans pushed back and they're like, screw this dynamic pricing, I'm not buying these tickets, then eventually it would fall back to the face value. So if the face value is $119.50, this is what it would fall back to if dynamic pricing isn't working. But obviously on this tour, it is working. So here's what those numbers look like. And now you know how lucrative dynamic pricing is, right? And this goes into the gross and this affects how much the artist can get paid. So, $300,000 here in the potential side, about 2.25 on the forecast side, right? So I'm estimating at 90% after expenses. After the expense we put in, Nicki's probably making close to $1 million at sellout, 700,000 at forecast, which means about, I would say the guarantees at least $500,000 a show. So $500,000 a show. All the expenses broken down here, what the promoter could make at the door, right? So this is if they're profitable on just ticket sales, this is what the promoter would make. And then of course, below that, we have ancillary revenue estimates on what the management would make and the agent would make. And after artist sells all their merch, what is the total potential for the artist? So if you want to see all that, yes, this is the sales pitch, right? Go to Patreon, patreon.com/makingitacademy. You have access to this entire sheet that gives you all the numbers, and then you can literally use this sheet. It's not a PDF. It's literally the Excel document. You could use that document to create your own forecast for your own shows, and of course, just adjust any numbers that you need to. All right. So hope you all enjoyed this. If you go see the tour, please leave a comment on the video where you're going to see. Any questions you have, love to engage with y'all. And until next time, go see shows, meet people, make stuff. Peace, my friends.